Welcome to the 15th edition of the Muscle News and Merlin podcast with my buddy Eric Brozer. How you doing, Eric?
I am doing just fine. I'm excited that we're on episode 15 already. Feels like yesterday we started this thing.
Yeah. We're always improving a bit, but I'm honest. I'm being honest. I watch the other podcasts, and but they've been doing it for hundreds of episodes, and I think we're doing well. It's fun, and we're just enjoying it, interviewing amazing characters, personalities in the sport, and or even when we do the shows ourselves, we cover a lot of subjects. Like today, we have a special guest, Phil Clahar, or I'm gonna have to ask him how he says his last
I don't
name.
know if it's Clahar or Clayhar,
Yeah.
yeah.
Phil's gonna be on the show, and I want it to be a positive show. All what has been said has been said. Uh, during the last 2 weeks. We'll cover it a bit. I have some photos so people can judge themselves. You
Well,
know,
for people who might not know him, talk about
yeah,
what Phil's going on with Phil
yeah. I mean, unfortunately for Phil, I mean, he had a commanding lead in the pre-judging at
of the
the
Masters
Masters
Olympia,
Olympia
the
a
one that
couple of
just
weeks
passed in
ago. Yeah,
Tokyo
he had like nine point lead in pre-judging.
after the prejudge. Yeah,
Yeah. And the first place guy was in third, Dorian, and the third place guy was in second. So 3 hours later in the finals, Phil fell to second. The second place guy fell to third, and the third place guy went to first, which Dorian ended up winning the show. Okay. But obviously, Phil wanted proper answers from what I took from it. Why he finished, that what where the points went. And a comment was, I don't know if it was from Steve or from I forget her name, the other head judge, or
Sandy.
Sandy,
Yeah.
or Tarek.
Oh, Tarek or Tyler.
Yeah, he fell apart in those 3 hours. His gut was hanging out, a bit. He had no control. I went through his videos, photos, NPC photos, everything, and Phil looks in fantastic condition. Okay. In fact, when he comes on the show, because Phil was just finishing off some work, and he's gonna come in a couple of minutes late. Um, in fact, Phil had a good fight with the third place guy. Um, let me Dominic Domenico.
And as I remember,
Yeah,
Dominico had the same score
yeah,
in the prejudging and the
yeah,
final.
yeah. And Domenico had a fantastic physique. I'll show the pictures when Phil is here. I know Domenico from competing when he competed with the Elite, which is now the IBB Pro as well. He had some good placings. He won a couple of shows. He always placed in the top five. And just recently, in the last couple of years, he switched over to the Pro League of Manion. Like I said, he looked good. I mean, Dorian, he won, and congratulations. And he took the title and the top prize money. But there is a lot of debate on the shift in the results. I mean, in the points from 3 hours before in prejudging to the final. I mean, Bob Ciccarello was making a feast out of it. Calling out Phil, his wife, and all other people, and then unfortunately Ron Harris was on a show with Phil and Matt of Muscle Discord, and I think Ron was trying to be a bit diplomatic, and he he was giving the impression that Phil you know kind of should have won, and maybe he shouldn't have won, and Phil maybe pushed him to be honest, and it ended up in um Ron quitting that show and doing things on his own. And then he did another show saying that he thought Dorian should have won. So, uh, you know, and then from that it went on to Matt from Muscle Discord making a survey and a petition that Bob should not be the MC at the Olympia. It just one whole
Yeah,
fucking
it's just really become a big mess.
yeah, one whole mess. Like I said, and I told Phil, and I I talked to Phil's wife, on social media, and I said I believe Bob should keep his place. I don't think Bob should lose his, but in that position, Bob cannot call out people, I believe, and he understands what I'm saying because he even commented. He has to be careful how he calls out athletes. Nick Walker saying, I'm going to be happy calling you out in eighth or whatever. He has to be careful how he talks about, you have to remember, everybody does a diet, especially when you're in the Masters, you're 50-51, all right? You're going through a grueling diet. Phil, I think, came looking in one of his best, presentations in a long time. All right. And you just all of a sudden lost 9 points, placed second, losing by 1 point, and they tell you fell apart. I mean, imagine hearing that. So you would start thinking something was against me, this was against. I mean, to be honest, Phil was is outspoken on certain things in the past, but he apologized, and he supposedly they straightened things out. But then people start talking about politics, and somebody called, and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but I just believe that if the federation, the IFBB of Jim Mannion, the MPC, if they want to have transparency, either I'm not saying Phil should be a special case, but call him, explain to him in a calm manner what happened. Maybe he will see what happened. He'll say, all right, maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. But falling apart for me was way out of the ballpark. I mean, he didn't fall apart for the way
Yeah,
the way.
and as I remember, some people might say, okay, did he fall? Did he figure he had the show one and go and just eat like pizza
No,
and
he
cheesecake and
didn't.
ice cream? And I think his wife actually
No.
verified that he just had a little piece of steak and some
Yeah.
carbs,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I really find it hard to believe that he
Yeah.
quote unquote fell apart in such a short period of time. But and I know I don't want this to be controversial either. I just
No,
think
no,
that,
no.
like you say, in a position when an athlete is so far ahead and has such a commanding lead after prejudging, and then just 3 hours later ends up losing the show. I mean, I just think just the athlete deserves, um, like you said, a calm, cool call, just
Yeah.
discussing man to man or woman to man, whoever wants to do it.
Yeah.
Um, what happened, and explain it to him and say, point by point, this is what the judges felt, and
Yeah.
this is why we feel that you lost. And he deserves at least that. He, like you said, he may or may
Yeah.
not agree with it.
No.
Fans have different opinions. Of course, some people, no matter who wins or loses shows, fans are going to always have their own opinions who should have won or who should have
No.
lost. But in
It.
this case, I think
Yeah.
that it would be right for him to get, as an athlete, as an IFBB professional
Yeah.
athlete. I think he deserves a really good
Yeah.
explanation. That's
Listen.
all. That's all I see from it.
Yeah. We have to remember the athletes are um they are they are their own boss. They pay to compete. The IVB doesn't Pro League doesn't pay them. So, they should be, I think, treated with a bit, with some respect, because if they just decide to go to another federation, they're losing these athletes. If they're going to treat certain athletes like that, all right, or maybe they're taking advantage because Phil is getting near, the end of his open class, open division career. Maybe, maybe they say, oh, well, we can do whatever we want with him, or you know what I mean. But when you look at Phil, he still has some fight in him, to in certain pro shows. I'm not saying that he might win again or whatever, but top three, top two, you know what I mean? Some good placings, and in the Masters, he can easily dominate the Masters division if he wants to go in, if they have a number of shows.
And
I
they
mean,
do. They do. They have a bunch of Masters show, and
yeah,
that's part of the
yeah,
IFBB. So he's an
yeah,
important competitor.
yeah. And now I don't know if he's going to remain with them. There was some talk that we might hear it from him that he's looking at other options, because he still believes that he can still stay at a good level in the sport. And when you see the photos, you're going to say, like, all right, you can't tell. Father Time takes its course, but he is still in great shape. I mean,
Listen, he had he was good enough. He ended up in second place at the Masters Olympia.
Yeah,
Maybe he should have won. Maybe he shouldn't have won.
yeah,
Whatever.
yeah.
That's a judge. But listen, that means he's still at the top of the Masters game
Yes, he
because
is.
there
Yes, he
are a
is.
lot of IFBB Masters Pro who know they really maybe can't compete
No,
anymore.
no.
Not everybody's a Dexter Jackson who at 50
Yeah,
can come in the top five of the Olympia.
yeah,
But I mean, maybe he can't compete anymore in the Open, but that's why they have Masters
yeah.
contests because people want to, and
And
then the Masters Olympia, people want to compete
yeah,
after 40, after 45 and
yeah,
50. And so he's a great Masters athlete. It's obvious.
exactly. And not to mention names, but other. I mean, I mentioned names. Other pros could have went. There's like William Bonac, there's Brandon, there's Kai Green. I mean, there's Phil Heath. They all
Yeah.
could have went to the Masters, but I don't know who. But some wanted a better financial incentive to go. All right, and they didn't see it worth it. Yeah, these guys paid their way to go to Japan from the States.
Yes, they did. They did pay their.
It's not.
That's a long trip,
It's a
an
long
expensive
trip.
trip.
It's not cheap. You know. So you know the, you can't just you have to be careful with certain things because a lot of these guys traveled a long way to get to the show and suffered, physically and financially to go to this place. So I think a bit more care could have been taken when it came to the results because unfortunately this controversy, Dorian didn't get the praise that he should have got because he won. All right, because at the end of the day he won. Um, Nobody's talking about the Olympia. And everybody's talking about this and Bob losing his place as an MC. You know,
Which
people
is not
start,
going to happen. Bob's not
which is
losing
not
his
going to happen.
place.
Bob's going to stay
Bob is
there.
Bob. No matter what you want to say about Bob's personality, you could say he's
Yeah,
too
yeah,
outspoken. This,
yeah,
that. He
yeah,
is the best at what he does, and he is going to be the voice of the Olympia,
yeah. He is.
like it or
Yeah.
not. And that's
So,
because he's good at
but
it.
but Phil said that part of it doesn't really bother him. It just bothers him the way they spoke about him. Trying. Listen, for me, it looks a bit evident that Bob and Sean are like the face of the IFBB Pro League when they say there's no affiliation, like being the rep or whatever. But it's like every time there's a controversy, not a day passes where Bob comes out with the answer. So it's like he's giving the unofficial breakdown, and then I think what I hope's not happening if Bob's put on the spot then. I hope they back him up because we heard nothing from that camp. You know, I mean, Bob said what he had to say. Um, all hell broke loose. He's looking like the bad guy. And imagine if it did happen that he's the guy that repeated what somebody told him, which I doubt it, but imagine he repeated what the top guys told him to say and now Bob's looking like the bad guy, you know. So we have to see, and it's becoming a normal thing. Controversy, Bob answers it, and Sean, agreeing with him as he goes on. So we have to see what's happening.
Yeah, well, I
Um,
mean, like, well, Bob certainly doesn't shy away from controversy, and he likes to add to it a little
yeah.
bit. And maybe he does it to make the sport more interesting in a
No,
way,
it is,
and
but
sometimes it does.
yeah,
But
it does
you
make it
know,
more interesting. But like I said, when you're attacking a guy and trying to cut the hand that feeds him, then it gets a bit,
I just
dirty.
think Bob needs to be a little bit more, being that he was an athlete and he understands
Of course.
what it's like and how hard it is to get ready
Yeah,
for shows. And sometimes you get a placing that you don't think you deserve and how that
yeah,
can hit you mentally. I think you should just be a little more sensitive to the athletes sometimes.
yeah,
That's just my opinion. And I mean, listen, I'm not Bob. That's just
yeah,
how I would approach it. But, when he gives his opinion, he's giving it as a fan, really, of the
yeah,
sport, as a bodybuilder and as a fan. He's not a judge.
yeah, yeah,
So he's giving his opinion. I
yeah.
just think that, I mean, it's not even for me to say or to judge, but I just would like to see Bob tone it down a little bit. I think,
Yeah.
but
No, I mean,
Bob is Bob and Sean Ray is Sean
yeah,
Ray, and these are
he
personalities, and there's all different personalities in the
he
IFBB. And
knows he knows how to read the sport well. He's a great historian. There's not too many left in the sport, and I mean, imagine Bob. I don't know how many times, 12, 13 times to win his pro card. Imagine
Yeah,
in that last competition, the one he won. I don't know how much time there was between prejudging and finals. Imagine, and he was in the lead by nine
correct.
points, and he ends up losing by 1 point, and he was still in good condition. How would he react? I
Yeah,
bet he would want the same answers, because
correct.
you can tell Phil wanted this title. He wanted this title.
And he
Everybody
believed he
did.
was going back at night with the title. I mean, he
Yeah,
believed he had it.
he really thought that he had it in the bag. But uh it is what it is. That's bodybuilding. It's not the first time. It's like, oh, he's coming on.
I think we got Phil.
We got Phil.
Perfect timing.
Yeah, there he
Hmm.
is. Look
Hey,
at
how
him
you guys doing?
smiling. He's smiling.
He's because he's eating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How are you, Phil?
good, man. Thank you guys for having me today. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
So just to uh, fill you in, I kind of talked about what happened, you know,
Yeah,
the prejudging, the finals, how third place guy, what's his name, Domenico was, in fact, I see him that challenging for the win as well. Taking nothing away from Dorian because the results are what they are. Um, and obviously the words that were said by Bob and the falling out with a bit with Ron Harris, and then this thing turning into Bob not shouldn't be the MC at the Olympia and all this blah blah blah. Now, um, obviously, some time passed. People said what they had to say. Um, Before the show, before we started recording, I set up. I have photos of you from the NPC, so it's everybody sees the same thing, and I have those photos that you sent me. It looks like you were in the hotel room or something like that. I think
yeah.
before that was before or
That was, I think, it was about an hour and a half before I stepped on stage.
for the prejudging.
Yes.
Okay. And then I have photos of Domenico and of Dorian. Just we'll skim through them really fast. People can see them and obviously the falling apart, that for me is that was disrespectful. I think you can say it like that. Saying it to the way I see it personally is my opinion. Saying it to a guy that traveled from the States to Japan. You're not 16, 17 anymore. So to do that diet is not easy. All right. Um, you're just coming off from a lead with 9 points, losing by a point. And then they tell you that. And then you see the pictures afterward. It's like, what part is falling apart? You know? Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, like I said, they could have handled it. They the judges, Steve or whatever, and the rest of them, and they could have handled it a bit better. Like, listen, Phil, we'll speak to you afterwards, and maybe they would have gave you an explanation that you would have said, all right, I don't really agree, but I'll take that. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like they could be right, but saying that, and it was I think it was live. They said it, everybody heard that
yeah,
falling apart thing. And I even, I just mentioned, all right, Bob, like I said, this could be a scenario as well. You've noticed as well, because you're active on podcasts, even my buddy Eric. Um, every time there's a controversy, the next day, Bob comes out with a show. Okay. Now, he's not the athlete's rep anymore. I'm not saying anything against him because we get along until this minute. All right. It's like it could be other people are telling him to say things. He says it in his, cocky manner, and he gets really defensive, right? And then when shit hits the fan, he's not going to find those people. So he's out there alone. So he said what he had to say. He's getting, surveys and criticism not to be the MC at the Olympia, putting, the food on his plate that what puts the food on his plate at risk. And it's like every time there's a controversy, Bob is the first guy unofficially in the IFBB management or whatever, even though they say they don't pay him 1 cent, sticking up for them. And this time you got the end of it. Like other athletes did before you, Nick Walker and all these guys and whatever. Did you want to mention anything, Eric, while Phil is
No,
here?
I mean, I want to see. To me, it's like I want people to see the photos between the
Yeah.
pre-judge
Okay.
and the night show because I want to see where they say Phil fell apart.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know that I had mentioned before that Phil's wife said, you basically had like a piece of steak and some carbs in between the
Yeah.
pre-judging and the finals. It's not like
Yeah.
you went and had some cheesecake and ice cream. So I
Yeah.
want to know where you fell apart, and I think it's important for
Yeah.
Yeah.
people to see.
So, should we start with, let's start with, should we start with Dorian or we start with Phil? Let's start with Phil. Let's start with Phil. Okay. So, let me get him up here. There he is. So, I'm going to share the screen. Just tell me, you guys, if you're seeing this. So, here's Phil. Now,
Is
Phil, I
this
don't know.
pre-judge or final?
That's
That's what
prejudging.
it's
Okay.
this is prejudging.
Yeah, black trunks it's prejudging. Finals is the purplish
Wow.
trunks.
So they put up the prejudging. They didn't put up the basically these are the photos I got flipping through the compulsory poses. All right. That's what I
Yeah.
tried to look for. So, this is Phil in prejudging. I mean, maybe I'll go, and the posing routine that you shared, is that in the finals?
That was the finals.
So I
That's
have
why I
that as
posed the
well.
posing routine because I want to show that because that shows there was no stomach issue
Okay,
nor was there falling apart.
better. I have that queued as well. So this is
Good.
Phil in prejudging. Look at that. You know, great, great physique, condition, um, all around, great physique, and this he's 50, you're 51, right, Phil?
51, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Look at that. Amazing. So, um,
So Phil, when you stepped off stage at prejudging, just quickly, did you say the show's mine? Did you like in your head, or were you still thinking you were battling? What did you feel?
No, honestly, the only person I thought at that time was a threat, but I knew I beat him in prejudging. I didn't know the score was that overwhelming until after, but I knew I took the show. Plus, my phone was going crazy and social media was going crazy. But I'm never too confident. No matter what shows I do, I'm never too confident. I just know that I have to come back in finals and finish the job. So I knew I had it in the bag, but I knew the show was not over because I was very concerned with Domenico. He was very
yeah.
impressive to me.
So
Well,
you weren't even worried about Dorian after prejudging. It was Domenico you were worried about.
Right, because
yeah,
in the athletes meeting, even with a short sleeve shirt on, you could tell as a
yeah,
professional athlete looking at the athletes and you
yeah,
know I love Dorian. We're friends, but he just looked soft. So I thought the pictures I was seeing prior to his show, I thought he was trolling me. So I looked over to my wife. I said, I thought he was trolling me. He really isn't in that great of a shape.
yeah,
So no, I wasn't. And then when I saw him when he peeled down, I mean, he was better. Dorian was in better shape than he has been. I mean, I've been competing against him since 2017. I mean? And the only time Dorian has beat me is when I was off in Tampa. But on Phil, he's never beat me throughout
yeah.
6 years of competing.
So this,
So when I saw him looking soft, I wasn't concerned with that. It was just Domenico was the only one that was concerning me at the
Okay,
time.
but you, even though like it's always smart to never be overconfident, but you still felt okay, if I come back at night looking just as good or better, this show will be mine.
Yes, yes, that I did know.
Okay, cool. That's
so
what I want.
this is Dorian. All right. I mean,
Very different physique from
yeah, very there,
Phil.
but Phil, still, I'm not saying, Dorian had some good, good poses, I mean, but I can't say Phil did not win. I mean, he has a good case of winning the show. All right.
But right here, looking at Dorian, this man is in third place right now. This is a third
So
place,
now, if I
Yes,
after
he
get,
was in
prejudge.
third. He was in third place in
yeah,
prejudging.
Yeah, so he
Yes.
wasn't
yeah.
even in second; he was in third.
So if I get uh Domenico, Domenico. There he is. Here, look at this. I mean,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Phil, he had, he listen,
And
if he had
he's
to
in good
win,
condition.
you know, we couldn't say anything. You know what I mean? As well.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I saw this guy
To be
come to the
honest,
finals,
he
when
didn't
he came
have,
to
yeah,
when he came to the finals, and I saw Domenico because he was sitting on a chair, just completely relaxed, and he looked like
yeah,
slightly defeated. And
yeah,
he came and spoke to me because his English is not that great.
yeah.
And he came over and he spoke to me and he said, "Listen, this is your show. You this morning, this afternoon, you was just way harder." He said, "Structurally, I can't beat you. You know what I mean?" He said, I brought everything I could. I just can't beat you, not today."
Yeah.
And I said, "Bro, don't count yourself out. You just came back way better than you did at prejudging." And I said, "I'm concerned," And he started
Yeah.
smiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy is gifted. He just went pro because he had to re-qualify for his pro card to come into IFBB Pro
Yeah,
League. He
because
was on the
yeah,
he was on the
elite.
pro
Yeah,
official
and
side,
he
the
did
elite
well,
side.
huh? He was a top five
Yeah,
finisher. He won some shows. I remember him, and he, you know, the, it's like I hate this. It's like we're throwing Dorian to the side, but looking at the physiques, it's like your competition was Domenico, So
right.
um
From those photos, I would
yeah,
agree. I would say that if Dorian came in harder, he would be very tough because he's got good round muscle, good full muscle
Yes.
bellies.
yeah,
But he was definitely a little soft, as you could
yeah.
see, and especially from the back. Um, so
So
that's the strange part about this, going from third to first. But do you have Phil's
yeah,
post
I
routine at
have I
night?
have I have the
That's what
video
I want to
now.
see. I want to see
Yeah.
how what's
I
the
don't want to seem rushed, Phil, because I want to talk about these, but then we want to talk about you as the
No,
athlete,
no, no. I'm
the
good.
man.
I'm
You know what
good.
I mean? So
Yeah.
and Eric, because we're the schedule is a bit, Eric's like it's what time is it there, Eric? 9 in the
well, right
morning.
now it's about 10:30 in the morning here.
So this is here's Team Clark. Okay, I'm gonna push play. So this is the obviously without music because of now when you come out eventually. Should be coming out soon. Oh, there you go. Okay. This is the finals.
Yes.
I don't
That's the purple
see
chain.
I don't see no falling apart here, you know. What do you think, Eric?
I'm looking to see the distension in the waist, and I don't see it.
No.
I
Well, did they
mean,
maybe see him breathe once out of the ordinary when
well,
he's
I'm
doing
waiting to see if they say
no?
something like when it turned to the side, but to me, it doesn't look like the condition has diminished between prejudge and final. I don't see it. I don't see it personally.
No, look,
No, I mean his waist is tight there.
yeah.
Glutes are in. Maybe even a bit fuller, with the
Yes, I
same.
am. I am. You're right. You're
Yeah,
100% right.
maybe a bit even fuller with the same condition from my eyes, from my view here. I
But
mean, I don't see that any to put it what the way put it any falling apart.
no, but I mean, this shouldn't lose you 9 points, from
No, that's what I don't. That's what I wanted to see because I hadn't seen any nighttime. Or well, it's not really
And
nighttime,
this
but
was right in front of Steve. I purposely went right in front of Steve, right here, dead in the center.
I don't know. Like, and anybody, I don't care who you are, any bodybuilder who relaxes their stomach for a second, no matter how small your waist is, it'll come out a little bit. That's not
Yes.
abnormal.
yeah.
Okay, well, I don't, my personal
So
opinion here, and I've judged shows before and I'm a coach, I don't see any diminish. If anything, I think you're a little better at
so
night than you
Yeah.
are at
if you want,
finals.
we can show Dorian really quick. And
Yeah, show Dorian at night.
unfortunately, Domenico, I've looked everywhere. Um, I couldn't find him a decent page on Instagram. I couldn't find his video anywhere. Um, you know, I don't think he's really crazy about social media. So this is
No, he's not.
Dorian. I mean,
He's got a great, listen, the guy's
yeah,
thick, the
yeah.
guy's round and full. But he doesn't have the same kind of physique that Phil has. It's kind of an apples and orange thing
Yeah,
in
yeah.
terms of types of physiques that we're looking at.
But there is no reason why the 9 points disappeared. All right.
I want to see him from the back because the back he was soft. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion too, I think he came back at night a little better. I think he looks like he's sharpened up a little bit, but I don't see a third place to first place. If he, I mean, maybe if he jumped up to second, I could see maybe, but I don't know
One
what.
of the biggest issue with me was really them proving the scorecards. And I think a lot of people were just not understanding. It wasn't so much about the whole victory and whatever. It was explain the scorecards because Domenico stayed the same, right?
Yeah,
It's impossible that
Yeah,
he came back better and stayed the same. Now, if Domenico's score got better, right, it would have been impossible now for Dorian to win. That's
yeah,
why they kept Domenico at the same to be able to
yeah,
justify the flip. Now, let's say Domenico went to like a 9 or 8, Dorian would have never won that show.
yeah.
right.
So
Couldn't
that's
talk.
why I'm disputing.
This is
You
the
have to
scorecard.
prove to me in the
Yeah,
scorecards
yeah. This
what
is
made that difference and why Domenico did not move when he came back better. I just don't understand.
this is a scorecard. So
And if you look at everybody else's class
they're all the
outside of
same.
ours,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. They're all the same.
And they
None of them,
literally gave Dorian a perfect score at finals.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nobody shifted other than
the top three.
the top two.
Well, the top
Top
three,
two.
first, and third.
Yeah, yeah. First, yeah, yeah. So, Phil was in prejudging with 6 points and Dorian with 14. So you would say, it's practically over. Now all of a sudden he gets a perfect score and Phil gets 14.
I mean, it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if the show is super close between you, Phil, and Dorian, like say there was a point or two separating you and you first and second place, and then they gave it to him at night because they just felt whatever they liked his
Right.
physique.
Then
That
I
would be
wouldn't
one
argue.
thing. But you were the clear victor
Yeah.
in prejudging and then a clear third place in finals. I don't
So
get it.
so if I'm not mistaken, there were 5 judges, right? 7, they dropped the first and dropped the last. Isn't it like that?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So
So
in prejudging, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 ones
you probably got one second place.
and 1 second place, all right? Or 2 points. And all of a sudden, that one judge gets convinced or whoever, and they get, Dorian gets a perfect score and you end up, with 14, so
I mean, it is what it is because it's
yeah.
obviously nothing that can be done about it. But Phil, I'm curious from you, like, I mean, how, I don't want to, we don't know what happened, and I don't want to make any comments that there's bad, nefarious things going on or somebody cheated or whatever, because, I don't want to even say that. I'm hoping that everything's on the up and up. But how are you feeling about it now that you've had some time to reflect on it? Is it still biting you in the ass just as hard, or have you chilled out about it, or what is your feeling now?
You know what? I can say I'm in between because what I mean, I can't even tell you how many times me and my wife sat here and watched the video on the big TV. We have a
Yeah.
75-inch, and
Yeah.
just looking for every reason to justify what they said. Um, Here's the thing: when they came out with the quick run by, whatever you want to call it, which never happened in the history of bodybuilding that fast, so I knew they were trying to do damage control.
Yeah.
When I heard, they said every competitor had issues with controlling their stomach, and Phil did as well. And he just completely fell apart. That's when I was like, okay, all right, no, I don't feel any different. I'm not just speaking for myself, man. I
Oh,
even was defending Domenico, also the one of the judges through DM, and they refused to even discuss Domenico because I was fighting for him as well. It's not just myself. You know what I mean? Listen, if a win is justified, when I battled Ian, and that was a very close show, I never ever said a word. My fans all over the world was disrespecting Ian, and I had to actually make a video with Ian to tell them to chill out because it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Never have I complained. Now, last year, that I believe is what triggered this. I spoke out about not getting a fair look and feel as though I was being pushed out because of my age, and I made that comment, and I mentioned Tyler's name, and you know after a while, I mean, I said to myself, if I decide I ever want to compete again, I mean, I have to squash this, and I sent Tyler an email, and he replied very professionally, and he said, Phil, let's move on from this.
Yeah.
So before I even entered this master show, I had no idea anything could happen because of this reason. Prejudging, clearly, we all see
Yeah.
everything was judged fairly, right? So that's why it's hitting me, because I believe that they were not expecting me to come in this good. That is what the big kicker is. I don't think they really believe. So in their mind, me coming to the Masters was not a threat after what they saw with me in the Open the following year. So after reviewing all the videos over and over and over again, and there's no justification, and you know what? We all asked for one of the judges to do a play-by-play, just like how Tyler does it.
Yeah.
If they could do it like that to justify, I could rest at peace.
Yeah.
But they haven't because they can't. You know what I mean? So no, I'm not really pissed. I am still upset because this type of stuff is existing within a professional sport that we all work hard to compete in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm still upset because it never really. I don't want. Listen, the money's gone, the decision's made,
Yeah.
but you can let everybody's rest their soul by speaking, saying, "Hey, listen, do a play-by-play, show it." But by them not doing it, it's justifying what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just believe that. I honestly believe this is what I honestly believe. I don't care what anybody want to say. Bob want to sit there and say, "Oh, well, there's a Batman phone." Listen, everybody has to call in when you have a big show. Master Olympia, Mr. Olympia, even some of these big regional shows, right? They weren't expecting me to win. I came in basically flawless as possible. So now it's like Phil cannot win. That's it. He can't win. Whatever has to be done, he cannot win. So, like I said, if they justified it, this will be done. I mean, it's done for me. But it's just the fact that I just don't want this to ever happen again to some other individual, and so forth and so on. But, in my mind is, I'm the fans' favorite. Everybody, the fans all know who really truly won. I'm happy for Dorian, though. He gets to experience what I got to experience, stepping on the Olympia stage and do his thing. So I'm definitely, under no circumstances, not happy for him. So I wish him the best.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but because it's not his fault. I mean,
No, that's the thing.
it's not his fault that he won.
Yeah.
He won because the judges made him win. So obviously it's great that you're not upset with him. He didn't do anything wrong. But so I just want to be clear that nobody from the IFBB has reached out to you in any way officially to discuss this with you?
No.
Okay, so nobody, so you're still kind of like, don't really have your answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I probably never will.
Yeah. So, Phil, do you think you'll ever I mean, you don't have to answer, but do you think that you'll ever compete with the NPC Pro League again, or you're gonna move on to maybe another adventure somewhere else?
Yeah. I can't. Here's the thing, man. I love it. I was raised in NPC. 1999 is when I started competing. The direction that I see things going in now with the sport, I'm not happy with. A lot of people isn't. I don't feel comfortable risking jumping on the Master Olympia stage again, knowing it may be worse now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not worth me putting my family and my health, even though I'm in great health, at risk for any reason other than knowing I'm going to be judged fairly. And so no, I'm not stepping back on that stage again.
All right. So we can move on from that chapter. Hopefully it's done with, and health is wealth.
Yes,
Eric.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. So first of all, Phil, how do you say your last name? How do you pronounce it? Clahar?
Clahar. Clahar.
That's what I thought.
Clahar. I've been saying it. I said that Phil's gonna come and punch me in the face. Clahar, Clahar. I said them all in each different show, you know.
Everybody struggles with that last name,
Like
man.
mine
Everybody
is
does.
mine is Grech. People call me Grech, everything, But so
It's
Right.
grew up my last name too. Don't worry about it all the
so,
time.
where are you originally from? Like
I'm from Kingston, Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Tivoli Gardens. Tivoli Gardens is the city, but the state, Kingston, Jamaica, yeah.
And you moved to the States when you're young, or
Yeah, my mom brought me up when I was 3. My
okay.
sister, Michelle was 4 years older than me. I have
Oh,
an older
you're
sister. I'm second to the oldest.
yeah, so you're American, been there all your life. 49
Yeah.
years, 48 years. Yeah. So that's good to know. And obviously before Eric starts, you guys can do the coach talk. Um, um, what 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 age did you start bodybuilding?
I started in whatever. I had to be in my early 20s because it was
Wow.
1999 when I did my first show in New Jersey at it was the Go Classic.
Okay. Wow.
So I'm
20,
51 now. So I had to be in my early 20s, probably
31,
24,
good
25.
good 31 years of training. And obviously, no bumps in the road or everything. You never had any problems like injuries or anything like that you had to come back from.
No.
Wow.
Mm-mm. I honestly, when I started my career in NPC, I never even touched PDs until I actually was 34,
Wow. So you
33,
competed
34.
naturally. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Wow. And and then there was a time you paused for a bit.
Yes, I went when moved here to Florida. Tim Gardner was actually my coach here, and we won the Florida State in the overall, and we were
Okay.
pushing to go into the nationals.
All
And
right.
because I'm a Jamaican citizen, we were trying to write. Well, Tim wrote letters. This time, Tim wasn't at the position he's at now, but we wrote tons of letters, sent pictures into the head office because I knew there were some pros that were active that were not citizens that were able to compete. So I
Okay.
knew it was like a know who knows who type of thing. Within the matter of one day, they didn't look at the pictures. They didn't look at anything. They just denied me from competing.
Wow.
So I shut it down for 10 years after that.
Is this
Oh wow.
between 2002 and 2009?
2009, I came back to compete in 2016-ish into 2017.
Yeah, because
I was gone for about 10 years.
I'm looking at muscle memory. But you earned your pro card in 2017, just after the split, right? Or something
Yes,
like
it was
that.
the Ben Weider
The
Classic
big in Toronto,
in
right? Or
Canada.
Vancouver?
In Canada. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And did that pro card give you the the pro card with Mannion?
No, you had to pick.
You had
Once,
to pick, and you
once I
picked,
won,
and you
they
picked.
told me I had to
Yeah.
pick which one, and I didn't
Okay.
know. I knew nothing about it. So I asked Joe Stubbs because he was coaching me.
Yeah.
I said, which direction would I go? He said, well, the Olympia is with the IFBB Pro
Yeah.
League.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
honestly, if I had any common sense to me, listen, the Olympia is great,
Yeah. Yeah.
but the way I was brought up and raised, it's just more respect and treated with dignity and
Yeah.
decency.
Yeah.
If I knew the whole spill, which I didn't, I probably would have stayed with the elite.
Wow. You would have had like Mikal, Crizio, competing with those guys. That would have been
Yeah,
that
but
would have
back then when I won in
yeah,
Canada,
yeah,
that was a youthful 43
yeah,
year old.
yeah,
Nobody was,
yeah.
so I would have been able to stand next to those
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, it would have
Um,
been, yeah, it would have been great. There was back then there was a number of there's still today like next week there's in Furia Emirates there's the Mr. World and the World Championships. There's
yeah,
gonna be Mika. He's the world champion defending. He took over after Crizio. And there's that guy we interviewed last week, David.
he
Another
looks really good. He looks really
fantastic
good.
body. But so,
Yeah,
this week it's going to be a big week for him going up against the multiple world champion and in brackets Arnold Classic Europe champion because
right.
they changed it around a bit. Wow. So, and then you came back and according to this, Tampon 2018, you placed 14th. right?
Yes.
2019 at Tampa, you moved up to ninth, and then in Toronto 11th, and then they only have up to 2022. Then you're like eighth in Chicago, 10th in New York, fourth in Tampa, and in 2022 you were sixth in Boston, and then you won
Yes.
in it's up to 2020 in
No,
2023.
yeah, after Boston, uh, I think I switched. No, I went into Tampa again.
Yeah,
Um, because you said stop at 2022.
yeah, and then I think you won one of the shows, right? Which one
That's
was it?
Orlando. Orlando, I won in 2023.
Okay,
So it's crazy. I had a great year, then I had an off year, a
yeah,
great year, then an off year. It was
yeah.
crazy how it went.
Yeah, then you went to the Olympia. Obviously, the Olympia, it's it's
Right.
the top of
And
the
I got to make sure, and, when Bob makes his little discussions, and even Ron making their discussion saying I placed dead last. No, I did not.
no, you didn't.
Okay, we all know everybody's 15th after 15.
Yeah,
Okay, but there was a gentleman that did not come back. He was last. So if
yeah.
this, anytime you do not show, I'll win every time. So
Listen,
I was not dead last. They love to push this narrative
yeah,
of
yeah,
showing basically disrespecting my name.
yeah. Listen,
And it's funny, I mean, to get off script, when I did my posing routine, the music I actually picked was professionally done for a reason. And the
wow.
words, it got to my wife, probably the words pissed him off coming out of the song I played, because it was basically about my legacy.
Right.
And, all the time I put in the sport, and they were trying to tarnish my name. So the music was displaying what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
But
Listen,
at the end of the day, man, listen, I enjoyed myself. For 51 years old to do what I'm still able to do. And
yeah,
that's why, like, I was on a podcast earlier on Matt's, and I was basically saying, Bob and all these guys that's around my age, if not a little bit older, should be supporting, a guy like me and many others
yeah,
that still is healthy enough and still has that youthful look to
yeah,
still step on this pro stage and do what we do
yeah.
instead of cutting us down and saying you need to
No,
retire and get a job.
listen. Um, Placing 20th or 25th at the Mr. Olympia or at another world championship, nobody can take that away from you because you are one of 25 guys or 20 guys, whoever was there, 15 guys. You are one of 15. Now, somebody has to win, somebody has to come in the middle and say, listen, it's an honor. You can walk up to somebody and say, I competed at the Mr. Olympia and I'm an
At
Olympian
49 years old.
at 49 years old. So, you going into the show, I'm sure you know what you're expecting. Okay. We're
Right.
not going to say running around saying, obviously the youthful physiques are going to have a bit of that edge and things like that. But for me, that's a fantastic achievement. And hopefully in the future, we'll see you, achieve more success, and obviously proving that, at the age of 51, I mean, looking at you now, it looks like you can still go on stage and compete in
Yeah.
any show and do well, from me, I just wanted to get to know a bit more about your life. Now, obviously, you coach people, right? You
Yeah.
have, yeah, and that's your full-time, that's your job, coaching.
No, I run it. Me and my wife runs a personal training business, and
Okay,
that's
but it's
Structured Fitness
still,
Inc.
yeah,
Right. So I coach people on the side just for the love of bodybuilding, but I
okay.
train. I mean, the oldest person I have is like 80 something years old. So I
Wow.
have from 21 years old all the way up to 80 something years old. So different styles, structures, basically life coaching as well. So my hands is dabbling in a lot of different things.
So basically, you stayed in the fitness industry. You're doing
Yes.
what you love. You don't like go work nine
Yes.
to five somewhere. Or
No,
fantastic.
I make my own
Um,
schedule.
Yeah, no, great. Wow. That's a dream job, if you can, do what you love and you know, and just continue, making a living off it. It's fantastic. And it keeps you in the game as well. You're always,
Yes.
it's not like you lose you have a bad day in the office, you go home, you don't feel like training or, you're in that bubble, you don't get out
Yeah.
of it. Yeah. So Eric, you have some
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things, I'm a coach too. I've been a coach for over 30 years. And my biggest niche, although I train people also from teenager all the way up to, older age, but my niche in the sport has become mostly working with masters competitors, and also working, obviously I work with a lot of, you know, women who've had 3 children that want to get their body back, or, men who, they remember what they looked like when they were playing college football and they want
Yeah.
to return to that. So they're in their 40s now and they want to get rid of the dad bod and stuff like that. So, being that you're of this age, obviously when you started off in the sport, you trained a certain way, you have a certain amount of recovery ability that we don't have when we get older and things like that. So what do you do now that you're now in your early 50s, but I am sure that you do not go to the gym to maintain your physique. You go into the gym to improve your physique. And a lot of people think that once you reach up, you're 40 years old, you can't get any better, you're at your peak, which we all know is not true if you do things correctly. So let's start with training first. How do you approach your training? How is training different for you at age 50 as opposed to when you were starting out? How has it changed so that you're able to adapt and still progress at this age?
It changed a whole lot. I mean, when you're younger, you're more reckless. You're not thinking about the consequences. You want to push tons of weight, which I did. I was a very strong kid, pushing all kinds of crazy nonsense. I'm shocked I never got injured some of the weights I used to play around with. But, as you get older, which in life we mature, and as you mature, you become a little bit more sensible. So as like I said, I started late in my career, and I was still training decently heavy, and still pretty strong. But once you hit 46, 48, 49, you got to be now. It's Lee Haney says this all the time. You got to stimulate, not annihilate.
Okay.
So I mean, I cut back instead of 5 days a week. I trained 4 days a week to let my body have more recovery and more rest. I, you know, I always train on improving, but I can improve without lifting heavy. There's
Correct.
different ways you can play with a side lateral raise, or, hammer strength and dumbbells and angling certain things and tweaking certain things to develop a certain body part. So, what I mean? I don't train heavy. I try to watch the weight that I train with, but I train heavy enough. So if you work on negatives, you know what I'm saying. When you're in a game for so long, you can make 50 pounds feel like 100 pounds, depending on how you're training.
Yep.
So I think I became much more educated in that aspect as I got older. Limit my time in the gym. Not, I'm a guy, put the headphones on. I'm not there to talk and discuss anything, and people respect that in the gym I at. So I have a time limit. I have to be out of there. And regardless of where I'm at in my work set, I'm gone. So it's basically training smart, keeping the repetitions, they're pretty high. 15, 15, 15, 12, 12. If I'm getting ready for a show, I rock the same weight, but as I get closer, the reps are higher for more volume. My rest periods are not long unless it's leg day. Of course, you need a little bit more rest for leg day. But I'm that guy that don't focus on one body part at the same time. My gym is small. So, and I've been training there. I rent space out of there. So I've been there for over about 10 years, if not more. So people would just move out of my way, just out of respect, not that I asked them to. And I could be supersetting 3, 4 exercises at the same time. I try to limit my rest because it helps me with my posing on
Mhm.
stage. The more endurance I can have with less rest training, it gives me more endurance on stage, even though I do pose a lot. So it's basic, like I said, stimulate, not annihilate, be very smart with choosing the weight. And I'm just blessed, honestly, with God-given genetics from my mom and my dad. So, if I told you the weights I used to even get ready for the Masters, nobody would believe me. It was nothing crazy, no 225s on bent over rows. It's just food for me, more rest, and being very strategic in the gym with the things I need to do for certain body parts.
I love what you said, because that's what I teach people, is that people unfortunately think that it's always the amount of weight you lift that equals how much muscle you have. And I know myself, I mean, I used to be able to bench press 500 pounds. I used to be able to do leg press 1300. I probably lift 50% of the weight that I used to lift, but I get so much more out of it now because I
Yeah.
know how to control the weight. I use negatives. I use long stretches. I change grips. I change angles. Just like you said with side
Mhm.
laterals,
Yep.
you can play with the different angles and hit different muscle fibers. And that is what the key is to continuing progress as you get older. So you learn how to stress the muscles, not the joints. So, I mean, I love that you have that philosophy, and you can say right here that you can do probably side laterals with 20-pound dumbbells and still learn how to crush the muscle with that weight versus trying to throw up a pair of 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't do that. Listen, I tell everybody, even the youngsters, they're like, "You train in this gym?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "It's not the gym that makes the bodybuilder." I said, "Back in the day, you look at Arnold, they only had like a squat rack and barbells and
Yep.
dumbbells, right?"
Bench
So I
press.
said, it's quality over quantity.
Yep.
100%. And that is something that I try to get people to understand all the time. I was training a guy yesterday who was 48 years old. And I trained him on, I work with him online, but he actually came to visit me here in Las Vegas, and I actually got to train him for the first time. And when he saw how slowly I lifted the weights and how focused and concentrated I was in everything that I did, I was creating my own tension. I didn't care what weight was on the stack, because your muscles they don't know what number you have or how heavy the dumbbell is. The muscles know tension. So,
Right.
people, when they see how you can create so much tension with light weight, it really, a light bulb goes off on their head when they finally try
Yeah.
it and understand it, by not throwing the weights around, by lifting them, muscling them from point A to point B rather than throwing them. It's a completely different story. So, I mean, that's fantastic that you said that. And I also love that you said you only train 4 days a week, because a lot of people also think, man, only 4 days a week, aren't you going to shrink on those days when you're not in the gym? They don't understand that the recovery is just as important as the training, and that we need
100%.
those days, especially when you get older. We don't have the recovery ability we had when we were 25 years old. We need more rest. So you have to be strategic. I love that you said that. Now, so you said you train, so do you have like a particular split of body parts do you use?
Yes.
How does that
So
go?
I train Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So Monday is leg day. Okay. Tuesday is chest and triceps, because I'm old school with that. Chest and
Those push-up
triceps.
movements,
And
yeah.
right. And then Wednesday I'm off, but of course I still do cardio, and I'm still doing cardio to this day, to keep my weight down and stay lean, because like I said, I do plan on still competing. So I'd rather not come from coming from 280 some pounds to try to trim down. Thursday I do shoulders, and I also now come in with some isolation movements for the hamstrings, legs, glutes, and I'll probably do one like a goblet squat movement on a slight incline with a plate underneath my heel. And then Friday, it's back, my favorite day, back and biceps, and I do like a small little chest pump at the end of the workout. And then Saturday and Sunday, I'm off.
And what's your typical, you mentioned that you keep your reps, which I do this as well, somewhere around that 12, 15 range, sometimes a little higher.
Yes.
But what do you do in terms of volume? So like how many, let's just say, let's go through, say, a back workout. What might be a typical back workout exercises and sets?
Now, I try to switch it up as much as possible. So let's say I go in, I always do the assisted pull-ups. The joints ain't the same to do regular pull-ups like I used to do back in the day. So I reverse the grip. I could do regular, reverse grip, or medium grip. I play with that every week. I'll do probably a reverse grip hammer strength pull, or a T-bar front seated pull down. I always do a low T-bar row, and then a seated row, either hammer strength or on the seated cable, one arm dumbbell row, and then I'll do probably some standing side laterals, either standing with a bar or a rope, or I'll do an incline on the bench facing the opposite direction and doing a
Mhm.
stiff lat pull downs on a high incline bench. Rep counts, I always start every exercise with 15 reps. I use that as my warm up slash getting the muscle ready, regardless of they say, well, you don't need to keep warming up once you warm up one time. Nah, man, when you get to this age, man, every set has to start off with a warm up weight. So I use 15 reps to start. I start with 4 sets for my first working set, and then every set after that is only 3 sets, and I'm out of there. So 3 set per exercise. I try to hit at least 5, especially for back and chest. I try to hit 4 basic movements and an isolation movement, and I'm done. I try not to go more than 5 exercises
So you'll
for the
be
large moves.
somewhere.
Biceps and triceps is only 3 exercises.
So basically, maybe somewhere between 12 and 18 sets of body part, depending on
Yeah,
the size of the body part, somewhere
yeah,
around there. Okay,
yeah,
great. I mean, because again, a lot of people also think, I tell people that I train with these amounts of sets, and then they'll be like, "What are you talking about? I do 30 sets for chest," and I'll be like, "You're not doing 30 and 10 sets for chest. If you're doing 30 sets, you're coasting. Try
yeah.
doing 10 really difficult sets. You get a lot more out of that than you will." So that's great. I mean, I think
See,
that you and I
you know what?
align very well.
Honestly, a lot of the younger people thinks more is better in everything. It could be
And
weight training, could be gear, whatever. Like I have an office, and some of the stories, because of course they all know I'm a professional bodybuilder, so they'll come and throw things at me, and I always say, listen, man, get yourself acclimated with your natural
Yeah,
body first.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But you got to look at the sport we're in. It basically is pushing out that this is okay to use at any age. I saw a 17-year-old online the other day, and the kid is huge. He looks great, but he looked huge. And I tell a lot of people, your health, like you said, health is wealth, right? So
yep,
when people ask me, how can you be in this game and look the way you look and still do what you're doing at 51 years old? It's called taking care of yourself.
yeah,
Getting blood work 2 to 3 times a year, making sure when your blood markers at certain places that you know to stay off and not touch anything until your blood markers get to where they need to be. Get your heart checked out. That one thing I'm blessed about is having the wife I have, because me, I'm stubborn. I'll get the blood work done, but when it comes to consistency of the blood work, she's very good with numbers, and making sure I get my heart checked. And now she's telling me, there's blood work you could get done to catch things that's going on with your heart. That's doing the sonograms and all that's not going to
yeah,
catch. So
yeah.
she's very anal with me on staying healthy. We have a lot of grandchildren, and she wants me to be around for as long as possible. So I'm
Yeah.
very just key with supplementation. Gut health is very, very key.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
hear a lot of bodybuilders complaining about having stomach problems and have to stop training and no off season
many,
because they got to,
yeah,
regenerate their gut health. I don't have those problems. If you stay on it and do all the necessary things to negate the negatives, that's how you're going to be prosperous in bodybuilding and be able to continue to compete as long as you possibly can.
Yeah,
and
and great. I mean, I love hearing that as well because it's very important, especially for the youth out there to learn from the beginning that number one, I fully agree with you. I mean, I personally competed naturally my whole career, and I never touched anything until I finally went on TRT, which was basically just for my health.
Right.
And I had, I was still a coach working with people who were taking PEDs, but I would always try to be I would try to make people use as little as possible to get as much as they could out of it, rather than just from the beginning shotgunning five different substances for these crazy amounts. I'm like, where are you going to even go from there? I mean, how long are you going to last in this sport? That's why I think that unfortunately we're seeing a lot of people pass away very early these days
yeah,
because they're rushing things and they're doing it from too early an age. Why not let your body go as far as you can naturally without anything. And then once you start something, you'll have an advantage over somebody who starts right away, doing a
Right.
cycle the first time they're lifting a dumbbell. So, I mean, I think that's great. I also want to touch a little bit on, since we touched on the training, also on diet, a little bit. How do you structure your diet? I mean, not as many, obviously we have people here who are hardcore and they're going to do contest prep, but what to build muscle, say you're in, I don't like calling it off season, I like calling it progress season. During progress season, what does your diet look like? How many meals, how much protein do you do per day, carbs? How do you structure that now at this age as opposed to, when you started out?
Well, I do a lot of things differently. I mean, Blue Taylor is my coach, and that was a gift from God, because he works with you. He's not one of those coaches that it's my way or no way, right? Nobody knows your body more than yourself, right? So actually, even this prep, I kept my protein at 8 ounces. I didn't go past 8 ounces on protein. Now, previous shows it's 10, 12, all these crazy ounces for protein. This time we kept it, I kept it simple. You listen, your kidney's got to process so many things. It's not just the PDs and the growth that could destroy all these things. There's also a high level of protein. So, we kept it short. Now, off season, I go down a little bit. So I'll do probably about 6.5 to 6 ounces of protein still. Um, I still eat 6 meals a day. This time around, this so-called off season that is not an off season is basically keeping myself to not go past 265 pounds. So
Hmm.
we're eating very, very clean. The carbs is about 150 grams 3 times out of the day, and then it drops down to 100 grams for the last 2 meals. So it's better for me. And even with clients I train, I try to watch overload of protein. Um, it does tax the kidneys a lot, especially if you're on other supplementation. So, yeah, keeping the protein very low, throughout the meals, putting some protein shakes here and there, watching the carbs. So this time it's not really an off season. I know my son keeps saying, so you're in off season. I said, back in the day, yes. I'm in health season. So I want to
Yeah.
keep myself as healthy as possible. We all know shooting up body weight, at any age, everybody
Not
wants to walk
healthy.
around at 300 and 300 to some pounds now, where the heart can't manage that.
Yeah.
So I'm in a health phase right now, where keep myself healthy, keeping my body fat low. I think that's what makes a champion, especially for my business. If you're going to preach something, then you got to be about it too. So, normally I
100%.
get on off season,
Yeah.
everybody says, "Man, you're freaking huge," but I can't breathe. I'm working out or walking, I can't breathe. So
Yeah.
if I'm going to teach something, I got to practice what I preach.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
agree. I mean, I teach all my clients. I say, getting sloppy in the off season is the worst thing to do, because then of course you're gonna have to work twice as hard to try to get into shape, and then you end up probably losing any of the muscle tissue that you built in the off
Yes.
season, because you're over cardioing and have to go so low on calories. So I think it makes so much more sense to stay in good shape in the off season. Why, like I said, I call it progress season. So I think it's a really and then especially for people who are 40s and 50s, because the skin doesn't have the same resiliency as it used to. So
Yeah.
stretching it, getting too big is a disadvantage. And then of course, like you said, the body, the internal organs themselves have to deal with so much more when you're walking around with so much extra body fat and weight and water. So it really makes no sense from a health standpoint. So that's great. And what do you do in terms of, not the PEDs, but like what do you take in terms of general supplementation, over the counter kind of stuff for your health and also for bodybuilding?
The regular stuff, man. I take my multivitamin, my NACs, my milk thistle, my every health and kidney supplements. I mean, I'm a sponsored by HD, so they have like HD kidney. I stay on the health supplements, of course, my vitamin C, turmeric. I mean, the list can go on with supplementations I take on a regular basis. I also take one chewable aspirin a day. I also do apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons. I'll do one in the morning, one in the night with my glutamine and my either my fiber, which is fiberlize, and then I have another fiber supplement by HD. A lot of gut health stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm very big on the supplementation, but very big on keeping my kidney and liver stuff always a priority on off season, or even if I'm like now, just basically on a TRT, I still keep everything structured the same way. I don't negate from anything when it comes to supplements.
Really smart. And what about rest? I mean, I listen, we all know that, like we're talking about, recovery is extremely important, especially as you get older. Are you a big advocate of trying to get a certain amount of sleep every night, or how does that work?
Yes. Well, I have a sleep apnea machine. I have a thick neck. I was a wrestler. So I have that, which once again, gratitude to my wife. I probably wouldn't even be here to this day. When I first moved here, I kept saying, "Oh, I don't got sleep apnea." And she said she'll record me. And I wasn't breathing for like 1 minute. And then I wake up going,
Yeah. Yep, yep,
so I
yep.
got on that. My sleep is remarkable. I try to get at least 7 to 7.5 on the weekends. It'll be a little bit more of sleep. I also sleep in the daytime. So every time after a training session, I come home, I take a shower because I work 2 shifts. I have in the morning, I work till 12. I train from 12 to about probably 1:40. I come home, shower, eat, take a nap for about 2 hours, and then I'm back. So I sleep as much as I possibly. I would sleep. You can put me in a car in the passenger seat, and I'm out within 2 minutes. I'm like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a big bear.
Yep, yeah, I know that too. I could probably put my head down on my desk any time of day and just fall asleep.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So
I think
sleeping
that's
is
great.
easy. I sleep with no problem, man.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, I mean, those are the questions I wanted to ask, because I know that we have a lot of
Yeah. Eric.
viewers in the 40s and in that
Yeah.
range. So I think it's great to hear from somebody like you who how you are not only just maintaining, but you're also looking to improve, at this age, because like a lot of people, like I have said, they think that they reach a certain age and they just have this mindset of like, well, I'm done. I can't improve. I can't build muscle. I can't get my joints hurt. I can't train heavy anymore. And they're wrong. You can certainly improve 40s, 50s, and even beyond that
Yeah.
if you
Well, you
approach it
just
the
nailed
right
it.
way.
You said their mindset. I think the mind is one of the most powerful things that we possess, right? If you
100%.
think negative, you're going to get negative out of it, right? So if you think positive, and this is what I do with my clients every day, because they all have jobs and they go through personal stresses, and and I always say, wake up every day in the morning and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I am someone, and this is going to be a great day. I said everything that we put into our spirit is what we're going to let out, right? So if you believe that you're too old and you can't do certain things, we all deal with I have little joint pain sometimes in the knee or whatever the case may be, but that's not going to stop me from continuing to do my best to live a
Right.
healthy and great life. I love when people look at me and said, if you didn't tell me your age, I would have never guessed you was 51, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no matter how old you are, there's no limits on what you can do. It's just about being smart of how you train and how you move forward within your health. That's all it is, just being smart.
And the like I 100% agree with you. I teach people mindset all the time. It's your body will produce what your mind thinks. If you think you can't do it, your body's not going to do it. If you believe in yourself and you believe that you can achieve results, you're going to achieve results. So I'm with you 100%. I mean, everything,
Yep.
Phil. I don't know you. I mean, this is the first time I've met you, but like, I really feel like kindred spirit, man. Like you and I are so on the same page. And I think that everything you're saying is really, really valuable stuff
Yeah.
for the audience and things that I try to teach. So I'm glad that I had the opportunity to ask. And now I'll give the floor to
No,
Kevin.
thank you. I
Yeah, you're
appreciate
you're
you, brother.
great.
Thank
You're
you.
you're to me, um, aside from being a great bodybuilder, which you obviously are, putting aside what happened at the Masters, whatever, I think that you're a very valuable person to have in the sport,
Of course.
especially for the people who are, for the younger kids to learn from, and also
Yeah.
from the people that are, in the Masters age to see what you can actually do, and at the same time keep yourself healthy while progressing. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate all the information that you gave here. I think it's fantastic. And
I mean,
Kevin, take
no,
it from
no,
here.
like for
Thank you.
example, if I saw correctly, last weekend there was the NPC Masters World Championships or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. That was an amateur show, right? And everybody
Yes.
got, yeah, they got their
Yeah.
pro cards. They should be celebrating a guy like you, bringing you there, doing a posing routine, having a seminar. You're like not you only. I mean, there's Dorian, there's the Domenico, they should
Yeah.
try to get these guys there and celebrate their success and their health, showing these athletes that are 40, 50, 60. There was one guy that was 90,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
saw that video.
There's a guy who's a
Yeah.
93 on stage.
yeah. I mean,
Unbelievable.
they get a guy like Phil, because we can speak about Phil, and put him on stage and say, look, this guy is still in open class shape, and he's 51. All right, so if it's not over for a master competitor that won his pro card at 40, he can still manage to progress his career. Maybe he couldn't dedicate his life to bodybuilding till he was 40, I mean, till 30, and then obviously 10 years good training, and he made it. Not everybody can start at 20, and put everything into it. People go to work, family, school or whatever. It's not easy. It's not easy to get to that point. And obviously, you're in your 50s, there's other guys, that was for me a lost opportunity, you know,
Yeah.
not getting these guys or inviting them to that show. You know what I mean? It's like, that would have been a great way for them to contact you beforehand and say, listen, Phil, whatever happened, or this is what we believed, and maybe we came getting back, maybe we came across wrong, and we made a mistake saying it like that. But then after everything's settled, they could have easily say, listen, there's the Masters language. Why don't you do a seminar and promote your own thing there and do a guest posing routine and all this stuff. But why should we have to think about these things?
Well, listen, not to cut you off. Here's the thing with that, right? When I got a phone call 2 years ago from a couple master competitors and was telling me they want to do shows, but financially they can't afford to do it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said they're making us pay to compete in the Masters. So I said, what are you paying? $250.
Yeah,
I said, yeah, but when you win a check in Masters, it's only like $500. So $250 you're paying, you're not really even getting your money back. So that's when I saw the issue of the level of respect for Masters. When they decided to now charge a professional, we work hard to get a pro card, we got to pay for a pro card every year, right? To
yeah,
now charge the Masters to compete in a show. So, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
already discrediting the Masters, right? And then after everything that transpires, how I kept hearing, oh, who cares? It's the Masters. Who cares
no,
about
you
these old
can't.
guys? You get what I'm saying? So how are they, you know what I mean? Instead of doing just what you said, which I've been talking for them to do that for years, because it shows longevity for the sport in a
Yeah,
positive direction, right?
that's
Because we can never go mainstream because they know about the drugs.
yeah,
Society knows about the drugs, right? So if you're now pushing a positive narrative that no, we can do this without abusing things, and look at these guys, it
yeah,
makes the sport so much better. So I'm 100%
yeah,
of what you're saying. They just choose to. I think it's just money. It's money. You make money off the Masters, and that's just what it is.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's so many options, that they could fix things like in other sports, like not American football, soccer worldwide. You have Ronaldo. He's getting close to his 40s. He's still playing at the top, playing in the national team, and they celebrate his age. Like when you're
Yeah,
watching, I watch a lot of soccer in Europe. Like, I mean, it's the big thing here. And when you're watching a game, there's the 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30, and then you get a player playing fantastic soccer. They'll say he's 39, and look, in football, soccer, 35, 36, they start to hang up their boots.
yeah,
They're old. But you see them at top level playing in the top leagues in the world at 39, 40, and they celebrate that. Now then it comes to bodybuilding, you get podcasts. Not just Bob. I'm not gonna I mean the others, they'll say, Phil, it's done. He's over. It's finished. No, say, all right, Phil, maybe the open class is starting to move away from you, maybe the Masters is a great option, and there's another extension of your career as a Masters pro, and we're putting up the prize money. You know what I mean? So you're still a pro. So what's the use giving out a pro card if you can't you can't do the sport as a professional. So stay amateur and continue winning, the NPC nationals and the USAs, and just keep dominating. You get a 50-year-old guy going in there and kicking butt, beating 20-year-old guys, you know what I mean? So, they had a great opportunity with this event. They're calling it the World Master Championships, um, to fix this. But obviously, maybe they'll hear it, or maybe they're thinking about it, or unless maybe somebody else tells them the same thing and they'll do it. I think that was a lost chance to kind of mend things up. But anyways, they decided on that, and it is what it is. The show, there was
yeah.
over 1,000 athletes. So it was a great chance to promote the sport. Well, it's
Well, I mean, I think
bodybuilding.
the Masters guys certainly deserve more respect.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
you're a professional athlete. Nobody should be paying to enter a show.
yeah,
That's it. Once you reach that level and you've won your pro card. I mean, it's enough that you already have to pay for a pro card every single year. I mean,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't know any other. I don't know any other professional sport that has that.
Did you?
You don't pay to be a professional baseball player. You don't pay to be a professional baseball player.
Right.
It's and actually when you become a professional baseball player, you automatically get a huge contract, even if you're
Yeah,
sitting on the
of
bench.
course. Yeah.
So I mean, there's
You
certain
ever?
things. I mean, and I know
Yeah,
they're trying to progress the sport. They're bringing more
yeah,
prize money to it. They're bringing more shows, which is great. But there's still a lot of things to be worked out for
You,
sure. We know that. But as a Masters athlete, you're still a pro. I mean, you're still a pro that can go into open shows. It's not like
yeah,
you're forced to just do at Masters.
Yeah,
I mean,
and that's what I'm advocating for. Because listen, after I did Tampa last year, I'm not stupid. I'm a smart guy. I look at the level of the talent at the open show, and I know I'm not willing to put my body through any unnecessary stress to achieve this craziness. So I already knew after Tampa, Masters is good for me. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? I got common sense. These boys, kudos to them. These open competitors are great. I know Quentin personally. These guys are excellent. I knew my place. And that's why I'm so pushing so much for the Masters, because just a level of respect. I saw so many people get their pro cards at Worlds and I congratulated them on Facebook, but my heart is still damned because it's like, okay, this is the happiest time of your life, but now you're about to find out the value of what you are to them. You know what I mean? And that's the hurtful part. The hell with me and the Master Olympia. I just want master competitors, all competitors in general, but master competitors that have never been gunning for their pro card forever and finally got it. And that's the
yeah,
happiest time of their life.
yeah, yeah,
And now you got to pay to enter shows and you
yeah,
get devalued and you're not important unless Olympia guys are in a show to make it
yeah,
valuable.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So I advocate for them, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, I think that we have so many. This Masters was one of the best. Romania was great, but every guy brought it. I never seen people guys in the third callouts were still in good condition. Just structurally, they just had their little different flaws that kept them from coming, whatever. But I spoke to so many of them, so many great guys, man. And that's why I just push. I push for Domingo. I still talk to Domingo
yeah,
online, and he keeps saying, thank you, brother," because I want him to hold his head up. And I think that, in 2 more years, I think it's going to be in Delaware. I think the next Masters, he's going to go on there and do a great job. I'm pretty sure Dorian would do it. He's going to do a great job. I just want just the level of respect from the IFBB Pro League to not put out people advocating saying that they're old and who cares, and just discrediting the time and passion they put in, and stuff they put their families through. So that's what I'm advocating for, and I'm gonna do that for whatever league I'm in. I'm always gonna push for people like me and people not like me. That's just listen. You could always judge a person by his character. I've never changed from the day that I was born. My mom did a great job. I was the only boy that she raised out of 7 girls. And let me tell you something. I've never changed. And I know that your word and your principle means more to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I would never change for money. I would never change for anything. This is a true person you're getting on here. And I think that's why I have such a great fan base, because I just respect what I stand for.
yeah, yeah.
well, I think I mean, that's why you have a fan base, and that's really the most important thing of all, that
Yeah.
you have that fan base out there, and you have so many people who love you and who follow you and who, trust your word. And I think that's the most important thing in the world, because and actually it does mean more than any trophy, in my opinion,
Exactly.
than
Yes.
any trophy, that you have fans who love you, thousands
Yeah.
and thousands and thousands all over the world. And I, like I said, I didn't really know you very well until this whole thing happened with the Masters Olympia, and I was very interested in the Masters Olympia because I actually coach Rashana Boswell, who plays fourth in the women's bodybuilding, and
Okay.
Candace Carr as well, who placed fifth at age 54, I think, in the
Oh,
women's physique. So, and Rashawn actually was the first 2023. She won the show, and she was my client. So, I was watching very, very closely. But I'm really glad that Kevin mentioned bringing you on the show, because I think that
oh
you
yeah.
are a great, like I said, I think you're just a great ambassador for the sport. You're great for the sport, no matter whether you won the show or didn't win the show. I just think that you're a great person to have in the sport for, just because you have a great character. You're a gentleman. You carry yourself well. The things that you say are extremely valuable. So, I'm really glad that I got to know you here on the show, and I followed you on Instagram, and I'll
Thank you.
keep following you no matter
Yeah.
where you go, what you do. I'm
Yeah.
behind you. I'm sure
I
Kevin's about
appreciate it.
100%. So,
Now listen, I've been talking to Kevin for what? It's been a couple years now,
Yeah,
right?
we
Just
trade some words here
but
and there.
we just
Yeah,
never
yeah,
physically,
yeah,
got
because
on here. But when you asked, you know what I mean, I was like, oh man, you know, I'm at work at 12 o'clock. I said, nah, man, because just talking to you online, I get a good judge of your character. It's crazy, you know. It's a Jamaican thing. I don't know what it is, but I was like, no, I'm going to make it happen. So I'm a race from work because I only work 5 minutes down the street, and I was like, I'm going to
Yeah,
do this. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So I'm very happy that I did come on today and
No, that's
actually
great.
physically get to see your face
Yeah,
and
yeah,
both of you
yeah.
guys and chop it up. So it was an
The-
honor. It was definitely an honor and a privilege to do it.
Yeah, and hopefully it won't be the last. You know, you know, you analyze things good. You know, maybe after the Olympia or maybe just a bit before. You know, we can talk about it and hopefully, uh, be excited because we like to do a fun show. You know, obviously
Yes.
this thing that happened, but I wanted. I wasn't going to talk about anything about it, but I felt as a friend that I had to say what I felt. You know, things just keep bubbling inside of me until I say it, And
Yeah.
before we end off, Eric, you still have some time?
Yeah, I got about another 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
Okay. Phil, quickly, did you know they changed some of the rules for next year for the
Isn't that funny? Because that was spoke about early this year by
yeah,
Dennis and
yeah,
a couple other people. And I walked in and my wife told me, I was like, oh, well, that was being spoke about throughout the year. It
yeah,
makes sense. It does make sense.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm happy they went into a positive direction with that. I'm
yeah.
happy for them.
So basically, for the 2026 Olympia, they changed the rules a bit for qualification. So for classic physique, men's physique, bikini, and wellness, if I'm understanding correctly, the top 25 in the point standing, so they're bringing the points back. The
Yeah.
Yeah.
top 25 in the point standing qualify for the Olympia. So there's 25 competitors, all right? Then you get automatic qualification if you win two contests. So you don't not one, but two you have to win. So they're making it harder for them to win, if I'm understanding
Yeah.
correctly.
Yes, they are. They're making it
Now,
hard.
Olympia top three qualify, fourth get 12 points, fifth get 10 points. I think this year, okay, for next year. So I guess they're gonna start now. Yeah, it starts from September 15th. So it's gonna start next week. The only contest that you qualify by placing first once is the Arnold Classic, Pittsburgh
Right.
Pro, New York Pro, Romania Muscle Fest, and the Dubai Pro. So if you win that one, you're in. You don't have to win two contests, okay? And all the other IFBB Pro contests in those divisions is points. First place 10, second, fourth points, two, third 3, fourth 2, fifth 1, and whatever. Then men's bodybuilding, men's 212, women's bodybuilding, fitness, figure, women's physique, and fit model. Now, this I don't understand. Maybe they're doing this in fit model to put more women on stage because it's still new. I have a feeling the year after is going to fall with the other competitor, with the other divisions because there's going to be a ton of them. All right. The top three from the Olympia this year, top three in women's bodybuilding from the Rising Phoenix qualify for the Olympia. The winner of each open contest during the qualification period. So that stays the same as it was. So if they win one show, they're in. All right. And the wheelchair top three from the Olympia, winner of each open contest, and the top five in the point standing qualify. So basically, they made it a bit harder for classic physique, men's physique, bikini, and wellness. Obviously, where there's hundreds of shows each year, hundreds and hundreds of athletes. They're just cutting it down, you know, for the 25, 30 competitors on stage. What do you think, Phil? I mean, they're cutting it down a bit, So
I think it's expensive. We all know, you know, paying for these
yeah, of
athletes to
course,
go. I
yeah,
think it's very, very expensive. And you know, this is just me not saying, you know, this is fact, but I don't know if the Olympia with all these athletes is necessarily making the money they should. So, I
no,
mean, we've been talking about this for a while. So I think this is just the best of the best. Even
yeah,
put that
it is,
put past the money. We should have the best of the best on
yeah,
that Olympia
yeah,
stage, point blank, cut and dry. And I think they're making an attempt to do that.
yeah. I mean, nothing against any of the competitors. If you did your work and you qualified, you should be there. But I prefer, let's focus on bodybuilding or men's classic physique. I prefer to see 12 of the best in the world being worked hard, compulsory poses, a good posing routine, getting them back together, switching everybody around, getting the guy from the bottom tier going up to guy to the first tier. Maybe there's something there, But you can focus on these 12 guys, and I bet the judging will be even, more precise. Other than,
Yeah.
can you imagine? I mean, can you imagine the judges seeing 40 bikini girls or whatever, 30? Like, how are you gonna know? You probably just, they get tired at the end. And it's like they probably, if it was me, would say who's the prettiest, other than, going checking out what the actual physique should look like. Because obviously
You're right.
there's gonna be tiredness, I mean, so cutting down, the bikini and the wellness and men's physique, there's so many guys and they all look amazing, I mean, the men's physique is really all right. They're with board shorts, but the upper body, I mean, to pick who's better than the other, you really have to be, spot on. So I think removing the point system was a bit, it went backwards a bit. Now they put it in again. So, they're trying, and and as well, I think it's for the non-active. Obviously, when you win the Olympia, you have a lifetime, qualification. But they're saying that if it's more than 5 years, you have to get an approval from the pro league. So, for example, Big Ramy, you know, if if you're active like Brandon, I don't think
Right.
it's a
Yeah.
problem because he's active. They're seeing him compete. He's
Right.
consistent. But like a Big Ramy or Phil Heath or Jay Cutler, if they want to come back, they just cannot. They probably won't deny them, but they have to get approval from the pro league.
Well,
So
from the rules, they have to recompete again. If you remember the rules they put in, if you
yeah,
they'll have an up-to-date pro card, so I don't
yeah,
think they'll come right back in. I think they
yeah,
have to recompete because
yeah,
you got to live by the
requalify.
rules you put out. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to requalify. I mean, it's like all these amateurs that turn pro. They never compete. They just pay their membership. I mean, you're like Bob says, you're not a pro until you step on a pro stage. All right? You
Right.
got the pro card, doesn't mean you're a pro. You qualified as a pro, but you have to step on the pro stage. All right? So, that's I just wanted to get you involved in this to hear what things. So, before we finish, who's your favorite to win the Olympia?
My favorite is still
Your
Samson Data. Still
Samson?
Samson Data.
Yeah,
I believe that, listen, when you're a champ until you get knocked down, I think you're still a champ. I'm very, very impressed with the level of condition I'm seeing with Samson
yeah,
almost 5 weeks out. I mean, he looks really, really great. Hadi, I do think is very dangerous.
yeah. Of course.
So but Samson for right now I'm picking. But I think Hadi is going to come in and give a show.
Yeah, maybe it could be his last one. Who knows? Because he's getting up there as well. He's
Yeah,
been
I think that
competing.
if he doesn't win, I think this may be Hadi's
Yeah,
last time.
yeah. So and obviously Derek is trying to do the Grand Slam. He won Pittsburgh, he won the Arnold, and he's trying to cap off a perfect season. So we'll have to
Yeah,
see. I have a
he
feeling
done pissed off Nick
Samson.
Walker though. He
Yeah,
pissed off
no,
Nick
you
Walker. So.
can't. I'm not. I mean, we can do a whole show on this, but just to say this, I have a feeling Samson might be playing with the condition thing. It might come a slightly downsized,
Downsize.
but
Yeah.
still, like Lee Haney says, the taller bodybuilder that's balanced and in condition always beats
Yeah.
the smaller bodybuilder.
Listen,
But
they said if he comes in condition, really good condition,
nobody will
even if
touch
he
him.
downsized, nobody's going to beat him.
Nobody's
I
going to
just
touch him.
just see it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's it for today. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I think that we covered everything we wanted to
Yeah,
cover, and I think it was a great show. And
yeah,
Phil, I mean, thank you so much for coming on the
yeah,
show and making the time for it. And
yeah.
Yeah.
I
We'll
said, I
get him
think
on.
you're,
He'll come back
yeah,
Yeah,
on
well, I'll
for
come
sure.
back on, but I'm gonna shoot you on Instagram and get your phone number
Yeah,
and
yeah,
send
and
me
then
mine so
Eric
we
as
could say,
well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
yeah. You guys
All right,
can
guys.
tr- trade coaching secrets.
Listen, I'm just happy with a person that's just straight up that could be a good friend. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we could just shoot life. You know,
Yeah.
everything about life. It don't always
Yeah.
got to be
Good. Well, good.
bodybuilding, just life in general. I think when you have a good friend in your corner when you're going through
Yeah.
good or bad,
Yeah.
it's just a positive thing.
Hey,
So yeah, I'm gonna get your guys' numbers.
Yeah.
what part of Florida are you in, Phil?
I'm outside of Tampa, so Orlando. Not Orlando,
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
Orlando Lakes. I'm about 15, 20 minutes from Tampa.
Oh, okay. Because I lived for many years. I lived in Boca and not in Boca in Fort Lauderdale. So I used to live
Yeah,
in
that's
Fort Lauderdale.
further. That's
Yeah,
further.
you're on the other. I was on the other side.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where you are. But
Yeah,
yeah.
but I'll
Oh,
get your number. I hit you up on Instagram. I'll get both of your numbers.
Yeah.
sounds great.
So
Well,
All right.
that's
thank
it
you,
for
Phil.
now. And we'll see you next week for
All
episode 16.
right, guys, take it easy.